Okay, so we have RWBY, Volume 3, Episode 6. This episode is, in my opinion, the best episode of RWBY. This episode is a complete game changer in multiple aspects for RWBY as a series. This episode changed the course of RWBY as we knew it. Changed everything we thought we knew about this show. This episode was a mindfuck and a great way to start a sort of little mid-season hiatus until early in January. So, but there's so much to talk about in this episode that it's just extremely overwhelming, because this episode completely changes RWBY. It completely changes the way we look at RWBY, everything that's happened in the past. If you go back and watch old episodes, this completely modifies your perspective of how you see these said episodes. But, I mean, there's nothing I can do but just jump right in there. I can't really dabble around it anymore, beat around the bush. This is it, I need to talk about it. So, there is a fairy tale in the RWBY universe involving 4 seasonal maidens who help an old man who's living in isolation, and they help him in different ways, and because of their help, they got amazing powers from this old man. Not only is this fairy tale true, and not just a simple fairy tale, it is the maidens in the fairy tale pass down their powers. And to start from a structure, Pyrrha was called into Osmond's office, revealing she is not Neo, she is indeed Pyrrha. And Pyrrha was called into Osmond's office and was explained this information by a sort of league who I was discussing how a team was sort of forming between Ironwood, Glinda, Ozpin, and Crow. And this is indeed true. They are a team of sort of guardians of the world of Remnant. And these guardians are responsible for making sure the seasonal maidens, everything's safe with the seasonal maidens, and the seasonal maiden line sort of stays intact. Well, that's at least part of their job in order to protect the entirety of the world of Remnant. I like to call them the Guardians of Remnant. And so I was right in my theory about how they were becoming a sort of a team, sort of a secret group or secret organization operating in the shadows that Cinder is 100% aware of, by the way. So we discover that when they were discussing Autumn's condition, it was not a member of their team, but the Autumn Seasonal Maiden. And what happened was that how the Seasonal Maiden line works is that the Seasonal Maiden chain is passed down based on the it's usually, at least if it's a female, it can only pass down to females, aka maidens, and it's usually passed down by the last person you think to the last person you think of, which causes problems if someone defeats you. They're usually the last person on your mind. However, if it's a guy, it's completely random. If it's a woman, it just gets passed down to the last person that you've thought of. So, so in this situation with Autumn, half of Autumn's seasonal maiden powers were stolen from her via an extremely intense fight, or attack, or assault, or kidnapping, or some sort of thing, with which all odds lead to Cinder being the one who stole this seasonal maiden power. And the seasonal maiden powers introduce a concept to the RWBY universe that is previously unheard of. We have semblance, we have dust, we have aura, but we do not have just pure, straight-up magic in the RWBY universe, with no explanation, no source, nothing in their genetics or bloodstream or anything. It is literally just pure, unedited, unadulterated magic. And it just shows this is really intense revelation for RWBY. And RWBY as a show, not the character. And so they want Pyrrha to... They want to do a test to see if Pyrrha can take the next helm as a sort of artificially transferred seasonal maiden position, as opposed to mystically transferred. And this might be a problem because the second they remove the powers from the now comatose Autumn, it might instantly go the rest to Cinder, and Cinder will become probably one of the most powerful beings in the RWBY universe like that. But however, they do have some research and scientific backup to believe that if they try to transfer it to Pyrrha, it will be successful. But Pyrrha may not ever be the same person after that transformation, which will be devastating to the character dynamic of RWBY with Jean and her rest of her team and everything if she became a completely different person or being of sorts. But so they want to try to transfer the power into Pyrrha to make her the next maiden in the line, so the maiden position doesn't stray into the dark side. And Pyrrha has to think of this decision, but just that whole thing with the maidens and the concept of the maidens and the magic of RWBY just completely changed the altercation of the show. We know this whole maiden thing is part of the intricate plan that Cinder has going on, and it's definitely part of the entire backbone of the series and the mystery and intrigue of the series. This was a huge revelation that changes the course of RWBY as we know it. And for that reason, I do have some theories as to who the maidens are. I feel like Summer Rose was a maiden, but when she was killed, or whatever happened to her, this passed down to RWBY. And my evidence for this is, one, RWBY is the main character of the series, so it would be kind of a given that she would be given eventually become the most powerful being in the RWBY universe. However, I do think she's the Summer Maiden because when Ozpin first found her, he looked at her, looked really close, and said, "You have silver eyes." Like, sort of startled. If we now, with what we know now about how Ozpin is part of the sort of league to like keep track of the seasonal maidens and sort of the guardians of Remnant, we can infer that maybe he was making a revelation about maybe RWBY is a maiden, and we could definitely see in the previous photo that Crow carries of Summer. It has their whole team. Summer does have the silver eyes there, so maybe the silver eyes are some sort of indication of maidenship or maidenhood, and that RWBY is one of the maidens. But it's kind of irrelevant to Pyrrha who the other maidens are, so we weren't initially given that information, and I find it all the well-being. If they were just going to exposition dump all that information, it would feel a little forced. I like how it wasn't discussed, so we have to figure it ourselves. I would say Winter is the Winter Maiden, but I feel like that's way too obvious. Maybe Weiss will be the Winter Maiden. We don't know. I feel like a good chunk of the maidens, either 2 of 4 or 3 of 4. Well, probably 2 of 4 are going to be unknowns. And now unknown characters who we have not yet met. And that would be very interesting. Perhaps even more interesting than just being, oh, this character that we knew all along was a maiden. I feel like if we meet new characters based on their maidenship, it'll be a little interesting and add a new sort of character dynamic. We have the robots, we have teachers, we have military people, we have hunters and huntresses, we have students. I feel like this would add another character group to the series of maidens. And another theory I have with regarding to maidenship and maidenhood and the powers themselves is that the old man that gave them their powers might be Ozpin. However, this is a little far-fetched and might not make sense in the context of the story and the dialogue that was spoken. However, wouldn't it be crazy if Ozpin was this... I do think Ozpin is a lot older than he is. He seems like a very pretty young guy. He seems like maybe middle-aged. But I do think he's pretty ancient. I might go as far as to say he's over 100 years old. And I don't know if it's part of his semblance is able to make him look younger or maybe have eternal youth or some sort of thing like that. That would be very interesting. Sorry, I was just scratching my leg. But I do think Ozpin has a bigger place to play in this sort of maidenship puzzle than we're led on. But I mean, I'm just neglecting to talk about the second part of the episode, in which is the first battle of the finals, Yang versus Neptune. Yang versus Mercury. I keep on refusing Mercury because Neptune, because they're both planets. But Yang versus Mercury. Intense fight, pretty awesome. They seem to be evenly matched, but eventually Yang is able to overtake him, successfully winning the first battle of the finals of the tournament. And it's all good and good. She beat him, but all of a sudden, Mercury gets up and is like, "You're not going to get out of this battle alive," even though all of his aura is depleted. And he goes to assault Yang, and Yang, naturally defending herself, knocks him over. And turns out, Mercury never attacked her. She just randomly assaulted him, which brings that an illusion was created for the entire stadium. An illusion showing that Yang randomly assaulted Mercury, while in actuality, well, no, the illusion was correct. Well, it was illusion created only for Yang. If you think about it, in actuality, Mercury did nothing. The illusion that Mercury did something was created for Yang. It would be a lot easier to create an illusion for one person than it would be to create an illusion for the entire stadium, except for one person. So, I do believe that was that way around. But, sorry, I'm looking up like that. I feel like I get more ideas when I look up. But, it's, so, Yang was then surrounded. She's obviously going to get arrested. She randomly assaulted someone. I mean, that's what happens when you randomly assault someone. You get arrested. So, according to the world, she randomly assaulted someone. Her team was extremely shocked. I do think they're going to eventually realize something's up to that. Because Yang would never just randomly assault someone. Yang's a genuinely good-hearted, kind-hearted person. But I do think Ozpin and I think the Guardians of Remnant do understand that this is that like something must have happened there, that Yang didn't actually assault anyone. I feel like they're going to try to help her through it and get her through it after initially realizing what happened. But honestly, because of the situation there's almost nothing the Guardians can do. Maybe Ironwood can do something because it's Ironwood's people who surrounded her. But it's almost me like it might be legal action, and you never know. The Guardians might not have legal influence other than maybe Ironwood, but he's from a different kingdom, so we don't know. But just the way that episode ended, it leaves in a dark position, and we need to know. Neo has an illusionary sort of semblance. Was this Neo that created this illusion, or was it Mercury or Emerald? Because if Mercury or Emerald, it was Mercury or Emerald, that also brings us back to a couple episodes ago with Yatsuhashi appearing. That also might be included in that situation, and maybe Neo isn't involved at all. But I would like to believe Neo is somehow involved in all of this because I would like to see more Neo. But I guess that's pretty much every point of this episode. Overall, this was, without a doubt, the greatest episode of RWBY thus far, and the game-changing episode for RWBY, and completely alter the path of RWBY as we know it, and nothing will be the same from here. Absolutely nothing. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. The Grimm. The Grimm were triggered by all of a sudden, after Yang assaulted Mercury based on the illusion, the entire stadium was in uproar and complete distress, which triggered the Grimm. The Elephant Grimm specifically, who are waiting for something. In Volume 2 is explained that they are waiting for a signal of sorts. And they got their signal, they got their anger. There's other Grimm obviously involved too, but I feel like the key factor is that the Elephant Grimm are ready to go. And I feel like within the next episode they are going to start heading towards the kingdom and the tournament. And that's why we see that scene in the intro, where all the Grimm are rushing towards Beacon. And we see that in the intro. It might be a little metaphorical, but I feel like something like that might actually happen now, because this sudden distress and uproar and fear just trigger the Grimm, and they're like, oh shit, this is our chance, let's go, 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 go. So, all in all, this is a game changer for RWBY. Nothing will ever be the same after this. This was a fantastic episode, and I'm officially caught up with all my RWBY reviews. So, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys with the next episode of the new